Straight all day.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is why your network matters a lot. Your network, why does it matter a lot? We will get into this in one moment. First of all, I'm gonna tell everybody, I have a daily motivation text that I send out free of charge every single day to everyone who's in my text community. If you would like to receive this text message, guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point every single day, all you need to do is send me a text at my number right now, and you will be receiving that message straight to your phone every single day, free of charge. My number is 305-384-6894. Send a message to that number right now, and when I send out my daily motivation tomorrow, or maybe even today, if you're listening to this at the crack of dawn, then you'll be getting that daily motivation text every day. You can actually respond to any one of those messages, and you'll be talking directly to the sender, which is me. And I do respond to my texts. I go through it every day and I respond to text messages. And go to workonyourgame.com/30. It's the other thing you need to do right now, and get started on my 30 days of discipline course so you can start finishing everything that you begin. Stop leaving things undone, and you can learn to trust and depend on your own word to yourself. That's workonyourgame.com/30 for 30 days to discipline. Now, this topic, why your network matters a lot. I think a lot of people understand the concept of networking, and the definition of network is a group or a system of interconnected people or things. Everybody, I think most people generally, by the age of, by the time you're an adult, you understand the value of network. Knowing other people, having solid relationships, people knowing you, etc., etc. Most people understand that it's useful to have a solid network of people. I had an episode not too long ago where I was talking about this, and building your network and having the right people around you. What episode was that? I was talking about this in episode number, where am I here? It was episode number 2261, 3 types of people you must have in your life. That's about having the right type of people in your network. But I've talked about networks and connections and relationships so many times on this show that I wouldn't even limit it to being just one time. But that's one place where I've talked about networking and the value of it. And many people say to me when I ask them what's the challenge you're dealing with right now, especially when it comes to business and personal growth, a lot of people mention something along the lines of a network. Well, Dre, I need to meet more people. I need to know more people. I need to get the right type of people in my circle. I need to get around the right types of people. So many people understand this, but today what I'm going to help you understand is why this network matters so much, and maybe give you some insights into how you can start building your network. Because understand, building your network is not just about you getting certain types of people to be around you. It's also about you being a certain type of person that other people want to be around. Because if you're having trouble building the right type of network right now, the issue may not be that, oh, these people are just hard for you to find. The issue is these people are easy to find. They just don't want you in their network. And that's why you're failing to build a network, because the type of people that you want to network with ain't interested in you. So you need to be looking in the mirror here, because here at Work on Your Game, for those of you who are new around here, let me be clear. We always bring the conversation back to the person in the mirror. Because if you're not getting the outcomes that you want, there is something that you are doing, not doing, being or not being, representing or not representing, that is causing that situation. It's not the world, it's not other people, it's you. And until you fix that, you're going to keep having the same problem over and over again. That's the framework that we work from. It's one of the bases of where we work from over here at Work on Your Game. So if that makes any of you uncomfortable, you got 2 choices. You can either leave and you can continue living in your hole of wherever you came from before you got over here, or you can stay here and you can learn and get better. And this ain't for everybody. I'm giving you an exit strategy right now. I'm giving you a disclaimer to leave if you want to leave right now. But for those of you who want to stick around, let's get into it. Robert G. Allen, in his book called Creating Wealth. This is a book I've mentioned several times here. So if you have not read this book yet, I don't know what you're doing. Go get the book and read it. But in this book, Creating Wealth, he talks about different forms of assets. And the most valuable ones that he mentioned are money, which is just straight up cash, credit, Most people understand what that is, right? Relationships, that means knowing the right people and them knowing you. Knowledge, intellectual property you can trade on. Courage, that's having some balls, and access to these things if you can get it. So even if you don't have them, if you have access to them or access to people who do have them, then that's an asset because you have the connection. Today we're going to talk about relationships and their value. This is one of the most valuable assets you can have in life, is solid relationships. Point number one. Today's topic again is why your network matters a lot. When you have game but you're a nobody, that's virtually worthless. Having game but nobody knowing you or knowing that you have game, it becomes a waste. It's a waste of an asset because nobody can get benefit from the game. It's like if you're a good basketball player but you're not on a basketball team, or you're not, even if you want to hop on YouTube and teach other young players how to play basketball through your YouTube videos, you got to be doing something to put your game out into the world. This is why on the show, when I open every day, what I say, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically. So whatever yourself is, you got to be putting it out there so that other people can actually see it, know that it exists, and possibly benefit from it. Just like the value of money is in what you actually do with the money, is not in actually just holding it and having it. The value of money is when it gets used, when it gets exchanged for something, because that's all money is a medium of exchange. That's the purpose of having money, so that you can make exchanges and it gives you options to do the things that you want to do. It doesn't mean that every time you get $1, you got to go make an exchange with it, but that's the purpose of it. All right, the money itself doesn't do anything. It's what you can do with the money that gives you power. So the value of game works the same way. Game is not very valuable when you're just holding it and doing nothing with it. But game becomes valuable when you can utilize it to impact other people and produce a return on investment through that impact. That's why the network matters so much, because when you know other people and other people know you in a favorable way, they can help you spread your game. Maybe they get value from your game, and maybe they know some ways that you can get your game out there to other people. This is why the connections matter so much. Relationships is really what life is made up of. Life is made up of time and relationships. These are the most valuable things you're going to have in your life. Not money, not social media followers, not the value of your business, not how many sales that you make. The most valuable things in your life are going to be how much time you have and what you do with that time, and then the relationships that you build in that time. Those are the most valuable things in life. This is why things like family matter so much. Like having connections to your friends and staying in touch with friends. If any of you has ever read any books or articles or seen videos even of people who are older, maybe closer to death, people in hospice care, and they get asked, hey, what are some things that if you looked back on your life, what would you tell somebody who's 50 years younger than you? Or what would you tell somebody, the younger version of yourself? And the common answers, the top answers always are, I wish I had more courage to be who I wanted to be. I wish I had spent more time with my friends. I wish I hadn't spent so much time working. 1, 2, 3. Usually, not necessarily in that order, but those are usually the top 3. I wish I hadn't spent so much time at work. I wish I had the courage to be who I wanted to be as a person, and I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends and family. 1, 2, 3. Nobody ever says, I wish I had made more money. Nobody ever says, I wish I had more followers on social media. I mean, people aren't old enough yet for that even to be a thing. But even when this generation, people who are 30 years old right now, when you grow up, you're not going to be saying that. I wish I had more followers on social media. Nobody's going to say that. So I wish I stayed in touch. Relationships. I wish I had been being who I want to be, and hadn't used up so much of my time chasing something that it turns out in the long run didn't matter that much. 1, 2, and 3. So the game that you have, it's the impact that you can have on other people with your game that matters the most. It's not the game itself, because the game with nobody being impacted by it is useless. Again, it's like you got a nice car, but it's in the garage and you never drive it. Or what's the purpose of having a car? All right, the purpose of working on your game, everybody, and this is the work on your game world, is to create opportunities for yourself to show your game. And then when you show your game, you produce a return on investment from the use of your game. So you give your game out and share your game with other people, and you get something in exchange for it. That's the whole point. They get something, you get something. If you're really good at a thing, it doesn't matter what the thing is. If you're really good at something, but you never use that thing to help another person or to help yourself, well, what's the value of it? Value is 0. If you have a whole bunch of money locked away in a safe like Scrooge McDuck, and you never use the money to create exchanges as a medium of exchange to get things for yourself, well, what's the actual value of the money that you have? The value is zero. You might have $10 million, but if it's locked away in a safe and you never use it to do anything with it, the money is actually worthless because you're not doing anything with it. The whole purpose of having it is as a medium of exchange. Your game is the same way. If you're not using your game as a medium of exchange with other people, then it doesn't matter that you have game. So this is where it comes down to the marketing, the doing the thing versus selling the thing. Okay, so this is not to say that every moment that you have game, just like with money, you got to be throwing it in somebody's face or spending it like with money. But again, you have to eventually use your game to produce an outcome for yourself and for others. Don't just have it and hold it, because again, it can't do anything just holding it. When you die, your money can't come with you. Point number 2, we are in the collaboration era. The topic once again today is why your network matters a lot. In this collaboration era, understand this is the fastest, collaboration is the fastest and highest return producing way to create outcomes. So if any of you is looking for a way to create outcomes quickly, and I hear this question in some of the coaching programs that I'm in as a student, as a member, and sometimes when people come to me and they ask me questions, they say, well, Dre, I need to create a certain amount of ROI in a very short period of time. What's the best way I can do this? What's the fastest way I can do this? What's the most efficient way I can do this? Here's the answer. Now, if you're listening to this episode in the 2002, what year is it? 2020s decade, in the decade of the 2020s, the fastest way to create outcomes is via collaboration. And the most outcomes is via collaboration. Why? Because when you do a collaboration, you take the pieces that you already have done, the pieces where you're already at a 100 level, you connect with someone who's at a 100 level in a complementary piece, and now you don't have to do any building because they have this piece, you have this piece, you two come together and the work has already been done. You don't have to figure anything out from zero. Now, if you do things on your own, now there are certain pieces you're gonna have to build from nothing because you're not at a 100 level at everything. You're at a 100 level at a few things. Other people are the same. All you got to do is find the person who can who's what they have can complement what you have, and that's where you two can come together. This is where collaboration matters so much. It's also why soft skills matter, because if you don't have the people skills to build relationships with other people, you could have a piece that could be very well complementary to other people, but without soft skills, you'll never be able to communicate it. Therefore, you can't make it happen. So it is possible to do everything by yourself if you want to. The problem is it will take a lot longer, and you may die before you figure it all out, and you will not produce as much on your own as you could if you teamed up with other people. Plus, understand that the only way you can produce outcomes for yourself is by helping other people anyway. You can't produce outcomes by yourself by only serving yourself. Any of you who's a salesperson, now how do you make money? By making sales, right? But how do you make a sale? Another human being, someone other than you, has to decide to exchange their money for your offer. Therefore, you're helping them and they help you. But you cannot make a sale without impacting another human being. It's impossible. Unless you're buying stuff from yourself, but then you're not really making an impact. You're giving your money to yourself. What's the point? So why not collaborate with someone who probably knows a bunch of people who you don't already know? That's the benefit of collaboration. Somebody else can bring a bunch of ready to buy buyers into your world that you didn't have to do the work of building that relationship because they already did it. And so this basically multiplies your results and speeds up your results all at the same time. That's the benefit of collaboration. So when you think about a platform like, I talked about this a couple of days ago, think about Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You are collaborating with them. When you post content on these platforms, you are collaborating with them because they got all the people and you have the material, you have the content. They are the biggest tech companies in the world, these companies that I just mentioned, and ask yourself the question, how much content does Apple actually produce? They produce a little bit. They got Apple TV or whatever shows they put on there, but who watches Apple TV? Not many people. Spotify, what content does Spotify actually themselves produce? Very little. What content does YouTube produce? What does Facebook produce? What does Instagram produce? The answer to all these questions is very, very little. They all produce less than 1% of the content that gets published on their platforms. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. 99% of the content is produced by people like me and you. All they do is provide the platform. And they're the biggest companies in the world. And they produce virtually none of the material that they have out there. We, the users, produce most of the material on these platforms. And they're billion-dollar companies because what they have done is collaborated with billions of people, that's me and you, for the production of their material. There's a collaboration. I'm a collaborator with Apple when I do this show. I'm a collaborator with Spotify. I collaborate with Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. I collaborate every time I publish something on their platform. They have the people, the audience. I have the content. It's the same way for you. You can get more done with and through others than you can by yourself. Those of you you consider yourself to be a lone wolf, you like to do everything on your own and build up your value. Listen, it's not wrong to be a lone wolf and build up your value. Build up your value. You should have value, because when you step into the marketplace, you better have something to offer. But understand, you will get more done when you start collaborating with other people than if you just did everything by yourself. And you may be doing great doing things by yourself. I guarantee you could do even greater if you started collaborating. And you will produce more results than you would by yourself, and you'll do it a lot faster. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is why your network matters a lot. So here's what you need to do. All right, you must work on your people skills. And this is a very, very important point especially for everybody, but especially those of you under the age of 35. If you're under the age of 35, in my experience, as I talk to a lot of people on a day-to-day basis on a wide range of ages, generally the people from they call it the I generation. This is the people who grew up with social media and smartphones and all this stuff. So you could do a lot of your communication with other humans without actually in the flesh talking to another human being. Many of you under the age of 35 have very, very poor social skills, very, very poor soft skills, meaning you don't know how to hold a conversation in person with another human being. And because of this, your ability to build a network is severely hampered as compared to people who came from the generation before you, such as people from my generation. I talked about this in episode 2038, why people born in the 1970 to 1990 range are the best humans alive, because we are old enough to have grown up in a generation where we had to talk to people face to face to do anything, and young enough to take advantage of the internet and social media when it came around at the same time. So we got the best of both worlds. Whereas those of you who are younger, especially those of you who are like under 30 or under 25, you didn't have to have face-to-face engagement with any human beings, but you could still feel like you know human beings because you could do it all through the phone. So we had phones, but not these kind of phones. So we had to actually go outside and actually shake hands and actually engage with actual human beings to develop this stuff. You got to get better at conversing, making friends, being friendly, smiling at people, making eye contact with people without being uncomfortable. See episode 1772, where I did a 5-part series on soft skills. If you have not heard that series, I suggest, especially if you're under the age of 30, you need to listen to that series. Again, it starts on episode 1772. Go to workonyourgamepodcast.com. You can get all those episodes. And soft skills, if you don't know what they are the interpersonal abilities that basically grease the skids, so to speak, that allow you to get your skills out into the world and convert those skills into tangible assets. So soft skills are all the stuff that are intangible and kind of immeasurable, but they're the things that allow you to use your hard skills. Okay, so your hard skill is your ability to, what's a hard skill? Hard skill is like you can shoot 3-pointers and get them in the basket. A soft skill is your ability to get along with your teammates. Okay, we can't measure your ability to get along with your teammates, but if you can't get along with your teammates, it's going to be hard for you to make a lot of 3-pointers because the teammates won't like you and they won't pass you the ball. So then you can't shoot your 3-pointers. So the soft skills are basically like the WD-40 that greases the skids, again, that allows you to get from one hard skill to the next and get those hard skills to produce results for you. Many people have very, very poor soft skills, and even a bunch of you who are over the age of 32. So don't think if you're over the age of 30 that I'm letting you off the hook. A bunch of y'all have poor people skills as well, because you picked up the phone just as much as your kids and your grandkids picked up the phone, and you forgot your soft skills because you've been on the phone instead of actually talking to human beings. All right, instead of picking up the phone and calling somebody, you're sending them you're posting a status up there, you're posting something on their Facebook page. All right, that's not a soft skill. All right, posting something through your phone is not a soft skill. Talking to somebody actually in the flesh, that's a soft skill. A phone call requires more soft skills than a DM. You get what I'm saying? I might do a whole episode just on this concept sometime in the future. Point number 4. Today's topic, once again, is why your network matters a lot. Number 4. Next thing you need to do is you need to go outside. When I say go outside, what I mean is, translate it, is put the phone down and actually talk to live in the flesh human beings for a change. I know it's uncomfortable for you. I know it makes you anxious. But that's exactly why you need to do it. Step outside of your comfort zone. Go to places where you can be seen, heard, and known by real people, and actually talk to real people rather than staring at your phone and ignoring the people walking past you. All right, don't get in the elevator and look at your phone without ever looking up at the people who are actually in the elevator. You don't even know who you're walking into. Might be a mass murderer about to chop your head off. You're looking at your phone because you don't want to make eye contact with human beings. What are you doing? All right, you can also develop your soft skills a lot deeper and a lot faster by being outside and dealing with in the flesh humans rather than dealing with people digitally. All right, again, dealing with people digitally is not a soft skill. There's some aspects of it can be soft skills, let me put it that way. But you need to deal with people in person, because when you can deal with people in person, dealing with them digitally is very easy. Digitally is a subset of dealing with people in person. When you can deal with people in person, the online stuff is pretty simple. There's a whole other set of soft skills that are required for in-person communication that are not required when you are doing digitized communication. So go get the in-person skills and you will be overqualified to communicate digitally. But you don't want to only deal with people again on the digital level and be short on in-person skills. You're better on going hard on the other side than on this side. There's still a lot of business and a lot of life, folks, that takes place in person. Do not think that just because you have a smartphone and a Wi-Fi connection, you can do everything from your phone and you don't need skills to engage with actual humans. And one more thing, knowing people, quote unquote, through the internet is not the same as knowing them in person and shaking their hands. If you know somebody through the internet, but you've never actually met them and shook their hand, you don't actually know them. That's just news item for some of you. Even somebody who you have talked to a lot digitally, when you meet them and deal with them in person, it takes that relationship to a whole different level. Any of you who ever dealt with somebody online first and then you met them in person, can we agree the relationship went to a different level when you met them in person and you actually touched flesh with this individual as opposed to just talking to them through the phone? I don't care, even if you're doing a FaceTime call or a Zoom call, you got to actually meet a person. And it takes things to another level. There are levels to this whole networking game. There are levels to relationship building. And until you step into these levels, you don't know what you think you know. All that said, let's recap today's class, which says why your network matters a lot. Robert Allen talked about this in his book, Creating Wealth, that relationships is one of the forms of intangible assets. It is because when you have solid relationships, you can get basically any other asset that you want. Time, money, credit, anything that you want when you know other people. Point number one. If you have game but you're a nobody, your game is virtually worthless, because the only way your game can create value for yourself or others is for you to share it with others. Point number two, we are in the collaboration era. It's the fastest and highest return producing way to create outcomes these days. Why? Because you won't have to do the build up work, because you can just connect with someone who has already done the build up work that you need. You've already mastered the build up work that they need, so you serve each other and everybody wins in that process. Think about Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. They don't produce content, but they have the most content simply because they have collaborated with us as the users who create all the content. They call it user-generated content. Their whole platforms are based on that, 99% of it. And they're the biggest platforms out there, and they don't even create anything. Why? Because they have mastered the concept of collaboration. Point number three, what you need to do is work on your people skills. Get better at conversing, making friends, being friendly, making eye contact. Listen to my series on soft skills starting at episode 1772 so you can develop these intangible assets. And number four, go outside. Be in places where you can be seen, heard, and known. Talk to people in person. Stop staring at your phone when you're out in public. Actually make eye contact with actual human beings. I know it's anxiety inducing for some of you, but this is exactly what you need. We call it stepping out of your comfort zone. All right, so get out of your safe space, step out of your comfort zone, and actually develop some real skills in life. It'll help you go a long way. Just because you have a Wi-Fi connection and a smartphone does not mean you know people through the internet. You don't know somebody if you're not really dealing with people in real life in person. Is a whole different level to the relationship when you are shaking their hand as opposed to talking to them through a phone. All that said, text me to get my daily motivation for free every day to your phone. My number is 305-384-6894, and go to workonyourgame.com/30 and get started on my 30 days to discipline course, so you can start following through on everything that you start, and you can learn to trust and honor your own word. When you tell yourself you're going to do something, you know that you're actually going to follow through. I will see to it and help you do it within 30 days or less. That's workonyourgame.com/30. Work on your game. Dre all day.